Welcome to Politics and Psychology. Today we are continuing with dream symbols and dream interpretation, and this is part 2. And this is so that you can learn psychoanalytic dream interpretation to understand what your subconscious is telling you about your life or even about a future situation. Last week, I discussed common dream symbols and symbol categories from A through M. And today, we are learning N through Z. I'm also going to give you insights on what strategy dreams are and how these types of dreams have significantly impacted the lives of historical figures and celebrities, as well as various industries and common items that we still use in our lives today. And if you have not listened to part 1 from last week, then please listen to that episode first so that you could understand the major factors that can make a dream symbol for you have a completely different or even opposite meaning from someone else. Even if it's your own sibling, it could mean something completely different. So please listen to part 1 first to get more of an understanding of how these dream symbols will apply specifically to your life. Okay, so starting with the letter N, for the most common archetypes or dream symbols, N, naked. Naked can represent being either vulnerable or transparent. So think about, how did you feel in the dream if you see yourself naked? Are you comfortable or do you feel embarrassed? And how does your body feel in that dream? Do you feel cold? Do you feel hot? Are you even aware of being naked? Do you feel like a draft or a breeze? Or does the body temperature and the environment feel just right? So depending on how you feel while naked will help give clarity to what being naked means to you. Also consider who is seeing you naked and how in the dream do you feel about them seeing you naked. So what are they doing? How do they react to you being naked? So let's apply all of these together. If in your dream you are naked and you feel physically comfortable about being naked, and you also feel comfortable about the person who is seeing you naked, but the person who sees you is running away, then that could indicate that you are being vulnerable and wanting to partner with, join forces with, or be honest with someone, but that person does not want the same from you. So again, being naked represents being vulnerable or transparent, and how you feel in the dream physically, the reactions between you and anyone else who may be around will also indicate more clarity on what being naked could mean. Now, if you're being naked and you're being seductive, meaning you are taking off your clothes as if in a striptease, then that shows based off of your behavior that you are willingly being naked and revealing your desire for someone, which may or may not have anything to do with sexuality or sexual pleasure. But it could just be that you are trying to convince someone through your physical means, whether it's through your intelligence, through your skills and talents, but you're trying to use the things about your uniqueness to try to manipulate them to accept you or to want you or even to hire you. So then think about, what are you doing to try to manipulate someone with the actual physical part of your gifts or of your personhood that's making you not choose the best way to go about that negotiation or potential collaboration. Continuing with N, we could have nails or fingernails. So look at your nails or remember your nails. What is the condition of them? Are they clean or are they dirty? Do they have ragged edges and are they broken? Or are they well taken care of? Nails usually represent your attention to detail. So if your nails are broken, it may indicate that you are not paying attention to details, and this can make you appear less competent in your professional life or less desirable in your personal life. Broken nails may also indicate that you are seeking perfection and you want to appear flawless, but you're overlooking small details that are more important than the outward appearance. Now, if you are a man and you see nails in the dream and they're your nails and they're very long, but in real life you don't have long nails, then it can reveal that you are either not taking care of essential details if your nails are very long, and it also could mean that you are not putting in the work needed to accomplish your goals. And that's why you're not putting in the hard work, and that's why your nails are able to get that long. N is also for neighborhood. So if you're dreaming of a neighborhood, it can indicate the surroundings in your life. Think about, how do you feel emotionally in this dream? Are you anxious or are you peaceful? Do you feel at peace in this neighborhood, and are you walking around? Or does it feel like it's a strange neighborhood and you don't know where you are or where you're going? This reveals that you feel out of place in your life and you are unsure which path to take. So with the neighborhood, think about the surroundings in your life, in your waking life. What are you surrounding your life with, and how does this relate to you feeling comfortable in the path that you are on? O category. Let's start with office or an office building. And this refers to a place of hierarchy and career or professional themes. It can mean that you are being forced into a condition, activity, or a place in life where it feels like someone else is in charge and you have to overcome many challenges or too many steps just to get to your goals. Or on the opposite end, if you see yourself as the boss in an office that's a large or a luxury setting and you feel confident and you feel in charge, then this can reveal that you feel a sense of control not only over your life, but also of your leadership ability. Old. If you see yourself as older and significantly older, then this refers to you reverting back to old ways or old habits. However, if you feel content and at peace in this dream with seeing yourself significantly older, then this means that you have a sense of becoming more mature and more wiser, that you view yourself as having lived a life and learned from mistakes, and that you are content with where you are now, and feel confident in your ability to make decisions about your life going forward from a sense of being more wise and more mature from lessons that you have learned. Or if you are talking to an older person and it's not you who's looking older, but another person who is older, then this means that in your waking life, you are seeking guidance and wise counsel. So in that dream, if an older, wise-looking person is talking with you, then be sure to listen or try to remember what that older person is saying or what they are doing. Also think about yourself. If they're talking and in your dream you see yourself scrolling on the phone, then it could mean that you are receiving wisdom or you have the ability to access wisdom, but you are rejecting it. So if you see someone else who is wise, think about what are you doing in that dream to either receive or reject that wisdom. Now, if there is something and not someone who is older, then that is the thing, or it's what that thing reminds you of, or who it reminds you of, and that thing is actually growing older and coming to an end. So if you dream of an old picture, and that picture had like an old marriage photo, and that might be revealing of you feeling dread that a marriage or relationship is coming to an end, or that your feelings of a past relationship have been resolved and that you are healing and moving forward. O is also for oven in your dreams. Now, the oven is in the kitchen. And remember from the last episode, a kitchen represents a place of preparation in your life. So if you see an oven in your dream, it represents a time of intense pressure or intense heat that is happening in your life right now, but it's a source of preparation. So if you see this, just be encouraged that it may be tough, it may be pressure, but still keep going and don't let the heat or the pressure distract you or discourage you. P category. Let's start with police. So police represent authority and rules. And depending on your interpretation or perception of the military, police, or even your personal experiences as a veteran, it will mean something more specific, but in general, it will still represent authority and the enforcement of rules. So even if you are an officer in the military or a captain in the police force, still seeing police in your dreams represents an area of your life where you do not feel as if you have control or authority over. Now, if you see the police and they are interacting with someone else to help you, for example, they're arresting a person who was robbing you or trying to steal from you, then this reveals that there are regulations and people or beliefs that you have in a higher authority that are actually helping to protect you from loss or danger. So look at what area of loss, for example, if it was someone trying to rob you, look at what were they trying to steal from you. Look at what is also being protected by that police or that authority figure. So if it's someone trying to rob your wallet, stealing from your bank account, or scanning your debit card, then this is an indication of feeling financially robbed, but that you might need to be more wise in your own decisions on how you're spending money or even to whom you are lending money. Painting. So if you see a painting, either someone making a painting with a paintbrush or they're actually painting a wall, in general, seeing a painting that's already been completed or someone actually painting is an indicator that either you or someone else is trying to make something look different from the truth. So what is happening in the picture and how do you feel emotionally in looking at that picture in your dream? Does a picture make you happy, sad, or scared? So focus on how you feel in the dream, and your emotion will reveal the area that is being manipulated. If you see a happy picture, then this reveals that you are trying to make your life look a lot happier than you actually are. Or if you see a scary picture, then this means that someone is trying to use fear or to scare you so that they can manipulate you or a situation. So whatever you're feeling is the emotion that's being manipulated or the area of revelation for what is being manipulated. Q, questions. If in a dream you are asking questions of yourself or of someone else, then that's an area in your waking life that you are uncertain of and are probably truly considering or questioning. Or it's a question that you should be asking and you're either asking around it or you are ignoring the question because you may not want to hear the answer. R category, radio. Whenever you hear a radio or see a radio and you can also hear what the radio news person is saying or just the DJ on that radio, then that is a very direct communication to you. So it's very important that whatever you are hearing from that radio announcer or even the song that's playing, go back and listen to the actual song if it's a real life song, or if you can remember the words that are being said to you by the news announcer or DJ, then pay attention to those words. That's a very direct message to you. Rain. Rain depends on the effect of the rain. So it can be positive or not so positive. If it's rainy and cold, then this is something that is being made less easy to do or harder to have or harder to achieve. But although it's not as easy to do or to have or achieve, it's not going to prevent you from doing, having, or achieving it. It's just less easy to do and maybe even inconvenient. However, if you are naked and in the rain and cold and in a strange neighborhood, so you're adding multiple symbols together, then this reveals that when you put the symbols together, more information. So if you're cold and naked in the rain, then it can reveal that you feel very vulnerable and you're unsure of your path in life and you have no community or anyone to help you find your direction, find your answer, or even encourage you or provide you with encouragement or comfort. But if it's a rainy day and you see grass growing, then this will give us a positive impact of the rain, meaning that you feel that you have the external resources such as people, finances, opportunity, or access, and these external resources are able to help you grow in the areas of life that you desire. Red. The color red is usually indicative of passion, and it can go as far as sexual passion and seduction, or it can go to passion for an intense enthusiasm about something. So, whatever is red in that dream, written in red, wearing a red dress, has a red sign, drinking out of a red cup, whatever is that thing or person that is with red is an indicator of the passion or enthusiasm about that particular object or person. Red can also be an intense anger or a reminder of trauma, especially if what you see is red blood and a lot of red blood. Red can also be a warning to stop doing an activity, a habit, or a relationship. So whatever is in red, and you also feel a sense of dread in that dream, or when you wake up from that dream, if it's a unpleasant feeling or you feel nervous or dreadful, then that vision or version of red would be an indicator of a warning to stop doing that habit or being in that relationship. Refrigerator. So refrigerators are also usually in the kitchen. When you see a kitchen type refrigerator, then remember what refrigerators are used for. They store things and they help avoid or delay food becoming rotten or spoiled. So in your dreams, a refrigerator will mean that there are issues in your life that you are storing and holding on to, and these issues are influencing your preparation in life or your motivation in life. Now, what about if you have spoiled food in the refrigerator? Then this means that, remember, a refrigerator is supposed to keep things fresh and to delay something from becoming spoiled or rotten. So if there's actually spoiled food in this refrigerator, then this means that you're holding on to a grudge, or you have an unclean or rotten desire or thoughts that are holding on to you and have a strong hold onto your thinking and your actions, but you're also trying to keep them hidden or repressed. S category. Let's start with the obvious, which would be S for sex. But sex rarely means sexual pleasure. It more often means your desire for emotional closeness, a lack of pleasure in your waking life, or it's you making an agreement with something or someone in your waking life. So think about when you actually have sexual intercourse. It's a connection of two individuals physically actually becoming as one moving object. So whenever you're having sex in a dream, think that it's less of sexual pleasure and more of an indicator of you becoming one with the thing or that person that thing or person represents. So remember, if you have sex with someone and it's your ex, as I talked about last time, if it's your ex and you're having sex with them, it does not mean it's a clue to go run out and reunite with them or try to rekindle any flames. It actually just means that you are agreeing with that old situation and you're going back to a situation or back to a habit or back to a lifestyle that was previously not good for you. So even if your ex was great to you and you were the one who messed up, or your ex was absolutely perfect and they died unexpectedly, then still dreaming of sex with an ex, a past spouse, or a past lover reveals that you are becoming one and intimate with something in your past or someone in your past that was harmful to you. Think also about what most often happens when two individuals have sex, male and female. Usually, it's the only way that you can have a child to be conceived. So, not only are you entering into an agreement with something that represents whoever the person is that you are having sex with in this dream, but it also shows that whatever you have made an agreement with is now also having the potential to take on a life of its own. So imagine you're having sex in the dream with someone who spends a lot of money. So then you may not even know this person in real life, or you might have divorced a spouse because you all had money disagreements. So this person is associated with financial loss or financial lack. So you having sex with that person who represents a lack of money or a loss of money is showing that part of you is coming into agreement with either behavior patterns or your spending patterns associated with or that can lead you toward financial loss and financial lack. So think about, what does that person represent and what do they remind you of in a past relationship, or if it's someone that you've never met, what do they symbolize to you, and what does your agreement with them mean, and what can, from that union, create a life on its own, either positive or negative. But usually it's not a good thing. Street. When you dream of a street and the street is a prominent part of the dream, then this direction of the street is the message. If you see a street and there's a direction to go left, forward, or to the right, and you see yourself going to the right, it can indicate that there are multiple paths to go on, but you are feeling that you're going in the right direction. If you see yourself crossing the street, it means that you had one position, but you are now changing your views on something that you previously were holding on to as far as a strong belief. So you're changing your views on something. You might be open to different interpretations of an issue or different solutions. And if there is less of a focus on what you're doing, but on the condition of the road, if you dream of the road and the road is very bright and clear, like clear lines are, drawn on there, or it's a clear path that you can see, then this speaks of clarity and understanding as far as it relates to your destiny or what you feel is your life purpose. Swamp. In the dream, if you see a swamp, it could mean that you feel overwhelmed and that you feel like you have too many demands in your life and that you are experiencing depression as a result of these multiple demands. In the swamp, you might also see things. So if there's a crocodile in this swamp, then this means that there is someone who talks a lot in your waking life or is talking about you or accusing you, which is the very real threat to your life or your finances, but you feel powerless to defend yourself. And this feeling of powerlessness is what's leading you to feel depressed. T category. Teeth. Depending on the health and the appearance of the teeth is an indicator. So it's whether it's one tooth or multiple teeth. Then look at the appearance and the quality of health. And teeth in general usually indicate wisdom, especially if you see a wisdom tooth. However, if the wisdom tooth itself is decaying, it's dirty, or it's missing, then this can reveal that you are making decisions in your life that lack wisdom, and you are neglecting to remember lessons that you have already learned in the past. The same can be true for baby teeth. If you're an older person, so you're not a child, then this reveals that with you still having baby teeth in this dream, that you are not making wise choices and you are making decisions based on immature desires, lack of information, or only on your impulse. A tree. Trees usually indicate something that is long standing and deeply rooted. So in your dream, think about what kind of tree is it? Is it a palm tree or a Christmas tree? And does the tree represent a holiday to you, or is it a fruit tree and you have a remembrance or an affiliation with a fruit tree? So depending on the personal meaning of the type of tree, combined with trees representing something that's long-standing, it can reveal how deeply rooted that thing or that time in your past, your family history or tradition or even an event, how deeply this symbol is rooted in your life. So think about, what does the tree represent in your life? What about if it's a holiday tree such as Christmas? And are you seeing a Christmas tree decorated? And Christmas is a holiday that you do indeed celebrate. Or do you see the Christmas tree with no decorations and no presents, and it's in a house that you have no clue of where you are? Or is it a Christmas tree and it's on the beach? If you see a Christmas tree on the beach, for example, it could indicate that your family has long held beliefs and that you have held on to these long held beliefs for yourself, but they may not be accurate or beneficial or even appropriate for your current situation. You category. Underwater. If you see yourself or someone else underwater, then this means that you need to look underneath the surface of what is happening in your life or happening in someone else's life that's involved in that underwater scene in your dream, and you look underneath to see what is really happening. So this is an indication to really look underneath a situation, to look deeper. Urinating. So urinating might mean that in real life, your bladder is full and you need to wake up to go use the bathroom. So how many times, you don't have to obviously tell anyone, but how many times have you dreamt that you were using the bathroom in the bathroom toilet only to find out that you were actually urinating while you were sleeping, or as they say, peeing in the bed? So you may think that, oh, okay, well, that's part of like a pizza dream. The pizza baby have a nightmare. But again, remember, all dreams have meaning. It just so happens that when you are urinating and you feel like you need to urinate in your bathroom, it does mean that your bladder is full, but it more accurately means as a dream symbol a point of pressure. And it means that you have a desire or a need to release an area or a full category of pressures in your life. So urinating, again, they may have an actual waking life. You need to get up and go use the bathroom. But if you also see yourself in the dream having to use the bathroom, it does mean that you have a desire or a need to release pressure in your life or pressure from your life. Unicorn. The unicorn can be a symbol of sexual trauma as well as an indicator of you living in a fantasy or not being realistic. It could mean that you have an unrealistic expectation of something that looks appealing and looks strong, but is more so able to distract you or take you away from your current reality. V category, vulture. So if you actually see a vulture, even if you don't even know what a real life vulture looks like, but you sense and feel or you label it in your dream as a vulture, then this reveals that someone in your life is being opportunistic and watching your life, career, relationship, or business, something that you value. They're watching it being destroyed, and they're also taking pleasure in your downfall and will try to benefit from or make what was once yours theirs. Now, a lot of these things may sound like, oh, well, sounds like it's just wild dream interpretation and it's not anything scientific about it. But remember, Psychoanalysis includes that there are real things in your waking life that also reflect your subconscious and your unconscious experiences. And there are sometimes you're so busy in life, or you're so distracted, or you're so overwhelmed, or you don't feel safe enough that you don't tap into your subconscious or your unconscious. So these other parts of you, psychoanalytically, are still happening, and they can still be used through your dreams to help you clarify the things that you are not seeing, not wanting to see, or don't know how to understand the other parts of your life and your mind that may be too dangerous for you to handle on your own. For example, I've mentioned 3 symbols so far that may allude to sexual trauma. So if you're someone who had sexual trauma, and it might have been a horrific sexual trauma or multiple incidents of sexual trauma, then you may not recognize that seeing symbols of the pentagon all the time, seeing dream symbols of unicorns or swords all the time, or lots of blood when you're urinating all the time, may be linked to sexual trauma from a very, very early age of childhood. And because your mind's job is to keep you safe and to survive and to be in your right mind and not have a psychotic episode, it's going to either hide those from your waking self or have those in a suppressed part of your mind, which would be in your unconscious. And so when you're able to work with someone through psychoanalysis in a safe environment with someone who is trained to professionally help you heal, then the dream symbols can reveal what was already there and can now explain why you keep having those dreams. So just remember that there are multiple ways that it may seem kind of hokey dokey, but your mind's job is to sometimes keep things hidden because it knows that you could not handle this on your own. So now let's go into W category. Walking. Walking with someone on the street and not walking together with them indicates that you and that person, or what that person represents, you are not in agreement, or you are unequally matched going in 2 different directions. On the other hand, if you and the other person are walking together and in harmony, then it means that you are moving as a team and displaying unity. Also look at how are you walking. Say, for example, it's just you. So you're walking, and maybe you're walking up a hill or you're walking down a hill. Downhill may seem negative, but in actuality, think about the science of walking downhill. Is it easier to do than walking up a hill? Most of the time it is. So walking down the hill can mean that you are making easy progress, and although it might be slow, you're still making progress. Likewise, if you see yourself walking up a hill, you are still making progress, and it might be slower, and it also might take more energy because you're walking more uphill than downhill. Also consider, what are you walking on? A hill is a lot different from walking up a mountain. So consider the height or the level of difficulty or stability on the surface on which you are walking as an indicator of what does that mean about you walking, making progress, or on a path. Or is it a mountain compared to a hill? Or do you see yourself going from a hill to a cliff to a mountain? All of those things may indicate that you are progressing in either higher levels of achievement, or that you feel as if your problems are becoming overwhelming and that you're not able to overcome them. Or do you see yourself on a treadmill? So depending on your view or your experience with treadmills, it can mean something different. If you're not usually on a treadmill and you see a treadmill as a waste of time, then it could indicate that you feel as if your life is going nowhere, although you're putting in all of the effort. Or if you are a person who does run marathons and you're usually outside and you run outside for long distances, it may appear that you have the skill and the ability to endure a process that may be difficult or unpleasant. But if you see yourself actually on a treadmill, It means that you're putting in a lot of effort despite your gifts and abilities and talents, but you're still not making progress. So again, what does that walking mean? Or if it's running on a treadmill, what does the running mean as far as your pace? And also, what is the surface on which you are walking? What is the height of it? And what is the direction? Up, down, or straight forward? Water. Look at the quality or the condition of the water. Is it muddy water or is it polluted? If so, then this is something that you are thinking or believing, but it's unclear or it's deliberately false. So you are believing false information, or someone is deliberately giving you misinformation and it's making your understanding or your decisions unclear. Or it could mean that you are choosing to believe inaccurate or deliberately false information. So therefore, it could be an easier solution to deny the truth again. What about if you are seeing water that is stagnant and with mosquitoes? So you have two dream symbols here, water that is stagnant along with an insect that is a mosquito. So adding those together, you may feel as if your life is stagnant and you're not making progress, and that there are tiny nuisances in your life that are adding to your frustration. So psychoanalytically, if you and I were talking, then the recommendation would be to focus on that one major area in your life that is the biggest area where you want to see progress or have more fulfillment. And focus on making growth in that one area only, and do not get distracted by the other smaller frustrations that are happening in your life right now. So that's how we would use those dream symbols and then give a treatment or a behavioral recommendation. Now, what about if you see clean water and it's also, you can sense that it's fresh to drink, it's not salt water? Then this can reveal that you are feeling very refreshed in your life. You feel able to start over, that you're able to see things in a new way, or you're wanting and you're able to start something new and something positive in your life. Worm. Whenever you see a worm, it usually indicates that there is something in your life that is not obvious, and this not obvious thing is eating away at your peace or your happiness or your relationship. So if you see a worm, think about the context in which you see that worm, and that will indicate the area of the not so obvious thing that is eating away at your peace, happiness, or relationship. And that also means that, like a worm in real life, you'll have to kind of dig deeper to discover it and to uproot it. X category. So if you see the letter X, and if it's a visual image of an X, then that visual image or someone writing an X, look at where or what is associated with that letter X. Is the X being written over something? If it's being written like crossing something out, then that means that something is being erased as if it never happened, or it's being regarded as completed. The action has been either completed in a way that's good as far as you achieved your goal, or it's being disregarded as no longer important, or that a goal is being replaced by something else. Now, what about if you are a scientist or a medical doctor? Then for you, it may be an indicator of the X chromosome. Now, in the human body, the females have 2 X chromosomes and males have 1 X chromosome and 1 Y chromosome. So for a scientist, depending on, your area of research or medical practice, then seeing an X can mean having to make one clear decision. Or if you first associate X chromosomes with DNA, it could be an indicator to look more at the origins of a challenge that you are currently facing, or telling you to look at the beginning steps for a goal that you want to achieve, looking at the beginning steps and not focusing only on the final desired outcome. Or what about if you're a mathematician, or you make clocks, or you just happen to most often use Roman numerals? Then for you, the X might mean the number 10. So then you explore, well, then what does the number 10 mean to me? Usually, 10 would signify 10 fingers or 10 toes, meaning a sense of completion or full ability to walk or to create. So, what does that number 10 mean to you if you use the number 10 represented by the letter X? Or if you are a person who has a strong religious background, or you believe and you worship or abide by the 10 commandments, then the X can symbolize to you the 10 commandments. And even more so, if you see the X as 10 and you in your dream perceive it to mean it's about the 10 commandments, then maybe it might even mean either all 10 commandments, or what does the 10th commandment specifically say, and how does that relate to what you are doing or not doing in your waking life? And the last thing for X, what about if you're a mathematician? So when we have math, X means a symbol of multiplication. So it can reveal that either for you or either against you, something may be multiplying. And it could be a positive habit, it could be a desired experience, it could be your wealth or outcomes, but it indicates something is being multiplied, either positively for you or again, negatively against you. Y category. So the most common two symbols for Y and Z in our American culture might be Y for yellow. So yellow can mean a caution because we often use yellow in our culture or in our country as a symbol to slow down. So whatever we see is yellow, like when we saw the color red, red may represent passion or excitement, whereas yellow can indicate caution. It can also be something that you are excited about or hopeful or you feel positive about, like a sunny sun that is also a very bright yellow. It could also be an indicator of remembrance. If you think about a yellow highlighter, have you ever wondered why most highlighters started off as yellow? And that's because when you look at psychology of memory and memory recall, yellow is more associated with memory recall than any other color. So if you're studying something, using a yellow highlighter will help you remember it a whole lot more than if it's an orange one or a green one. It's also why legal pads were most often on yellow paper, again to help you remember long text or long passages of legislation or legal precedent. So whatever the yellow means to you or to your career or your family culture can mean something that could be a warning or something positive, or it can indicate that you need to remember whatever that yellow symbol is. And that leads us to our last symbol, which is Z. And again, like with Y, only one common dream symbol that we usually have in America for Z would be zebra. So if you look at a zebra, what does it look like? It looks like a horse that's black and white. So unless you have a cultural association with a zebra, then a zebra most often can mean that you are looking at things in a black and white manner and may need to explore other options, look for more gray areas or in between areas, or it can mean that you need to look at making a decision either as only black or white. Now imagine you see a black and white zebra, but that one zebra is also with a lot of brown or golden brown horses. So maybe that can indicate that you can either choose black and white, and you having a black and white binary thinking is ostracizing you from being able to be a team player or to see multiple points of view or to have cohesion and unity in your waking life relationships. It could also mean that you feel like an outsider and that you are a very obvious outsider and that you don't fit in. And that can indicate a need for a desire to have a herd association or social belonging needs, but you feel as if your differences stand out so much that you don't fit in. So in that instance, the psychoanalytic recommendation would be is to embrace yourself, embrace what makes you unique, and maybe find other individuals who could also value the uniqueness that you bring, but for you to first and foremost see your differences as a greatness and as a positive and not a negative. So those were all of the dream symbols. And now let's go into strategy dreams. So in addition to dreams helping you understand through dream symbols your current life or resolve past issues, dreams can also give you inspiration and strategies that might even change the world in the future. Have you ever heard of the theory of relativity by Albert Einstein? Well, Einstein was actually inspired by a dream, and that one dream started his whole scientific career. As a teenager, he had a dream where he was sledding with his friends at nighttime, and in his diary he wrote, quote, "I started to slide down the hill, but my sled started going faster and faster. I was going so fast that I realized I was approaching the speed of light. I looked up at the point and I saw the stars. They were being refracted into colors that I had never seen before, and I was filled with a sense of awe. I understood in some way that what I was looking at was the most important meaning in my life." End quote. So it was that one dream that led to him understanding and exploring the theory of relativity. Another dream by another scientist also led to a great discovery. Niels Bohr, Bohr, is the father of quantum mechanics, and he won the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1922 from something that he dreamt about. He developed the Bohr model of the atom, where electrons revolve around the nucleus and can jump to one energy level or orbit to another. And these quantum mechanics that we have from back then, we still actually apply to quantum physics and quantum mechanics today. But when Niels was looking to try to figure out how atoms were actually structured, it took him a very long time, and he just could not figure out the actual physical structure of the atom and how they worked and what made them work. So then one night he saw electrons. Remember, he's a scientist, so he knows what electrons mean as a symbol to him. So he saw electrons spinning around the atom's nucleus like planets revolving around the sun. So to him, that represented an atom and a nucleus. So when he woke up, he immediately went to his lab to test the dream for scientific evidence, obviously as a scientist, and he eventually found that the dream was in fact giving him the explanation of how atoms are structured. In addition to scientific discoveries, dreams have also been influential in entertainment. The movie The Terminator, you might know mainly with Arnold Schwarzenegger, was inspired by a dream from James Cameron. He had a dream in 1981. And at that time, he was very sick and had a very high and long-term fever. And during one of this fever states, he dreamt of a metal skeleton coming out of fire flames. And the image to him was so upsetting, but of course, he's an artist, so he was also inspired despite being unsettled and a little bit scared. So when he woke up, he began to sketch the idea of a metal skeleton coming out of a fire. So I want you to go back to look at the movie, because it was this sketch that he made that it was the one scene that led to the actual creation of the movie concept for the original Terminator movie. So if you go back and see it, there's this one scene where there's a cyborg skeleton and a little bit of a skeleton remains and is crawling towards the main female character called Sarah Connor. And right before it's crawling to her, it gets crushed. And this drawing of this skeleton metal cyborg character being crushed is what James Connor actually sketched when he woke up that day. And that became such a phenomenal way of him actually creating a whole new genre of movies of merging science and technology to create cyborgs and sci-fi films. This is another example of what I mentioned about pizza dreams still having a meaning, or having to use the bathroom still having a meaning. As I explained in part 1 and a few minutes ago, even though James Cameron had this fever in his real life, and the fever made his mind think of fire flames, it was still dream symbols that he had that inspired a whole new pop culture and brand of movies. And speaking of machine people, the author of Frankenstein was also inspired by a nightmarish kind of dream. Like Albert Einstein, this person was also a teenager. In 1816, Mary Shelley had a nightmare, and in her journal she wrote of a, quote, hideous phantasm of a man stretched out and then, on working on some powerful machine, shows signs of life and stirs with an uneasy, half-vital motion, end quote. So this is what she saw in her dream, wrote it down in her journal, and so then she began writing, inspired from that dream, the story that we now know is Frankenstein, and was actually the world's first sci-fi movie. Dreams that are strategy dreams also have inspired industrial innovations. In the 1840s, Elias Howe, Howe, was determined to make a machine that could sew. He was so determined that he spent all of his time and all of his money trying to invent it, and eventually ran out of money and was having a lot of financial complications because of it. But he kept going, and eventually he made progress, but still could not finalize making the final part of the machine work, which was the needle. After 6 years of trying, in 1846, he dreamt that he went to a country where he was being forced to make a sewing machine for a king, and when he couldn't do it, a tribe of angry men were dragging him to be killed. And as he was being dragged away, he noticed on one of the warriors' belts that they had a spear, and the spear had a hole with a little point at the bottom of that spear. And so he saw that in the dream and said, wait a minute, can I have more time? Please, please, please give me more time. As soon as he was asking for more time in that dream, he woke up in his waking life, ran down to his workshop to make what he saw as the spear from one of those warriors, or had a hole in the needle at the bottom, and he made it into a pointy needle. And that became what we still refer to today as the eye of the needle for the machine, for now what we know as a sewing machine. And this one dream led to a revolutionized way of having a garment manufacturer in factories, in small local-owned tailor shops, and even inside homes. And one more example of a strategy dream is from Madam C.J. Walker. Born as Sarah Breedlove in 1867 and to parents who had been enslaved, Sarah, now known as Madam C.J. Walker, she also struggled with trying to make money. She obviously came from poverty with her parents being formerly enslaved. So to try to raise money and support herself and her family, she worked as a laundress, and being African, her hair was constantly exposed to harsh lye soap, dirt, and hot steam that did not work well with her hair texture. It also didn't work well with the other Black women who were also working as laundresses, so much so that almost every Black woman that she knew working alongside her were also losing their hair. Eventually, in 1890, she also began to lose hair and started looking for a cure to not only cure hair loss, but also scalp disease. And she tried many different products on her own, tried to make different products, tried to mix other products together, or just using other products that were already out there. Then almost 16 years later, she had a dream that gave her the solution. In her autobiography, she wrote, quote, "One night I had a dream, and in that dream, a big Black man appeared to me and told me what to mix up for my hair. Some of the remedy was grown in Africa," end quote. So in her waking life, she gets up, puts the money together, and she orders the ingredients that they were told to her in her dream from Africa. And she tried it and she saw a huge improvement in her scalp. And she even said that her hair and her scalp were becoming healthier and growing longer faster than the time it took for her hair and all of her other friends' hair to fall out. So then she tried it on her friends, and they also had scalps that were healing, and their hair was also growing longer and being healthier again. And so in her biography, she included from this experience, based off of this dream, that, quote, I made up my mind I would begin to sell it, end quote. And that is how she became the first Black female millionaire in America, and it's why she became included in the Guinness Book of World Records. So with last week's episode part 1 and this week part 2, we were able to go through dream symbols and dream categories that let us know how we can use psychoanalysis to understand our dreams, not only for ourselves, but can even make significant contributions to not only our country, but even the world at large, changing industries, changing worldwide products, changing even how we view entertainment, how we explore creativity. So whenever you have a dream, remember to not discard it or to throw it away as meaningless. Remember, pizza dreams do not exist. Every dream means something, and it means something unique to you. So explore them. Try to save these 2 episodes, go back to them whenever you have a dream, and start working with how to understand what your subconscious or unconscious is revealing to you about an area that you may have repressed or forgotten about, or just giving you a clue or a strategy on how to solve a particular challenge or overcome a bigger trauma in your life. So please remember to embrace the power of your dreams, do psychoanalysis on yourself, and you'll really see how much more insights it can give you. Well, that ends our time for today, and this was a more psychoanalytic part of our Politics and Psychology podcast. But please continue this conversation and share these insights using the science of psychology and psychoanalysis, and definitely love.